Good evening, my name is Tina Imami, presenting you with world news for پیام Jawon TV. Canadian rail disaster. At least 5 people have been killed after a one-way train carrying crude oil derailed and exploded in the Canadian town of Lac-Mégantic. Around 40 people are still missing after the explosion, which destroyed much of the town's center, and about 2,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. The train had been carrying hundreds of thousands of liters of crude oil in pressurized carriages which exploded upon derailing. It had been stopped at Nantes, around 4 miles uphill of Lac-Mégantic, when the containers became separated and began rolling downhill, gathering momentum until reaching the town. It's still unclear how the carriages have been uncoupled. The lakeside town is around 155 miles east of Montreal and close to the U.S. border with Vermont. U.S. emergency services have been assisting their Canadian counterparts in the attempts to tackle the disaster. Violent clashes claim 80. Afghan security officials said at least 54 militants were killed in large-scale security operations in provinces of Wardak, Kandahar, Kabul, Kunar, and Paktia over the past 24 hours. Authorities added that 14 police forces have lost their lives in Taliban attacks across the country. Local medical sources said the death toll is expected to rise as some of the injured are reported to be in critical condition. Fatalities among Afghan security forces have sharply risen in recent months. Latest figures show more than 900 Afghan troops have been killed since the beginning of the year. 2 more deaths from new virus in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia said 2 more people have died from a new respiratory virus related to SARS, bringing to 28 the number of deadly cases in the kingdom at the center of the growing outbreak. The Saudi Health Ministry said the 2 died Saturday and that tests on 77 suspected cases yielded only 3 positive cases, 2 of them in Riyadh, AP reported. The new virus is related to SARS, which killed some 800 people in a global outbreak in 2003. It belongs to a family of viruses that most often cause the common cold. Militants in Sinai bomb gas line to Jordan. Militants in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula bombed a gas pipeline to Jordan on Sunday, witnesses said, amid a surge in attacks on police and soldiers since President Mohamed Morsi's ouster. Witnesses says the blast took place near the North Sinai provincial capital of El Arish, scene of major disturbances since Morsi's overthrow by the military on Wednesday. Voices of Russia reported Turkish demonstrators come under attack. As clashes continued in streets and black alleys, Istanbul's historic Beyoğlu district, 2 amateur videos went viral on Turkish social media Saturday night, showing a man with a machete attacking protesters and pedestrians. The videos show men armed with a large round sword and a stick attacking pedestrians in Istanbul's Talimhane district, which is adjacent to Taksim Square. The amateur video also shows several police officers physically trying to separate the 2 men from the people they're attacking. The videos also show that the police do not try to arrest the attackers or disarm them. Bomb blasts in Hermel wound woman, 2 army soldiers. Twin roadside bombs detonated minutes apart at the entrance to the town of Hermel in eastern Lebanon, wounding a woman and 2 army soldiers on Sunday. The first device went off as a civilian vehicle passed along the main highway from Baalbek towards the Syrian border, just 200 meters from an army checkpoint at the entrance of Hermel, wounding a woman called Iman Nassereddin, security sources say. Alman reported the second bomb exploded when a military vehicle arrived on the scene. An officer and a soldier were wounded. Israeli forces detained 31 West Bank raids. Israeli forces detained 31 Palestinians before dawn on Sunday in raids across the West Bank, the army said. Soldiers detained 8 Palestinians in Nablus, a military spokesman said. Locals said Israeli military jeeps raided Nablus Old City at around 3 a.m. as well as the Malajin neighborhood. Blasts target Buddhist holy site in India, 2 wounded. 6 explosions at the Mahabodhi, south of Varanasi, India, rocked the temple complex on Sunday. Another device was defused near 24-meter tall Buddha statue, RT reported. Indian police reported 2 people were injured and the temple didn't sustain any damages. The site is holy to Buddhist pilgrims and is home to the Buddha tree, where Buddha is believed to have reached enlightenment. The temple is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and the authorities are still investigating the incident. Gunmen killed 20 students, teachers in Nigerian school shooting. Armed Islamic militants stormed a school in Nigeria, killing 20 students and a teacher over the weekend. State News reported most of the students suffered critical wounds when the men opened fire early on Saturday. Voice of Nigeria said an investigation is underway to find the suspects. No group immediately claimed responsibility for the incident. The attack occurred in the state of Yobe in Nigeria's northeast, where Islamic extremists from the terror group Boko Haram regularly carry out attacks. Egypt's new president reversed the decision on El Baradei. The appointment of prominent Egyptian politician Mohamed El Baradei as the country's interim prime minister hit a snag. Egyptian state media and several senior officials said on Saturday that interim Egyptian President Adnan Mahmoud Mansour had decided to appoint pro-reform leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner El Baradei as the interim prime minister of the country, and that he would take an oath on Saturday evening, 3 days after the ouster of President Mohamed Morsi, Press TV reported. However, on Saturday night, Mansour backtracked on the decision. Mansour's spokesman Ahmed al-Muslimani said El Baradei was not appointed to be the next prime minister, adding that there were several options for the job and the president had to take account of the opposition of El Baradei. However, he added that El Baradei was the logical choice among a list of names being considered for the post. Ahmed Khalil, the deputy leader of Al-Noor party, said that the party would withdraw from the military's roadmap if El Baradei was confirmed in his post. Iranian Russian Navy commanders underline holding joint naval drills. Senior Iranian and Russian military commanders in a meeting on Saturday announced that the two-country navies will continue their mutual cooperations, especially through holding a joint naval drill. During the meeting, the Russian port city of St. Petersburg today, Iranian Navy Commander Rear Admiral Abibullah Sarayi and his Russian counterpart Admiral Viktor Chikov underlined that two countries had navies would continue holding joint naval exercises, exchanging visits to each other's ports, and expanding educational and technical cooperation. Rear Admiral Sarayi arrived in Russia at the head of a high-ranking military delegation earlier this week to visit the International Maritime Defense Show in St. Petersburg on July 3rd to the 7th. Plane crash landing at SFO. Two black boxes were recovered from Asiana Airlines Flight 214 that crash-landed in San Francisco International Airport when the pilot tried to abort the landing. The aircraft's tail broke off and the plane caught fire. 180 people were injured, 49 seriously, 2 teenagers were killed. The pair was heading to a U.S. summer camp with their teachers to take part in a summer camp and were at the back of the plane where the tail broke off. A spokeswoman for the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, confirmed a call to increase the aircraft speed was made around seconds before the impact and said that there was no prior warning of any mechanical fault. Experts say the aircraft may have approached the runway too low. San Francisco is one of the several airports that have walls at the end of their runways to prevent planes that overrun landing in the water. The plane was purchased in 2006 and the two pilots had been fully trained in compliance with Korean regulations and had more than 10,000 flying hours of experience between them. Facebook Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg said she, her family and colleagues had been scheduled for the flight but had switched at the last minute. This was Pyama Javantindi. My name is Tina Imami, having presented you with World News. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.